Have you ever noticed how the most significant earthquakes in the tech industry rarely happen with a massive, flashy press announcement, but rather with a quiet, unceremonious deletion from a website? If you are planning to upgrade your workstation this year, or even if you are just casually eyeing the market, you need to pay very close attention to what Apple is doing right now. They are currently orchestrating an absolute masterclass in behavioral economics. Over the past few weeks, the entry-level $599 M4 Mac Mini, the one saddled with that heavily criticized and rather restrictive 256 GB of storage, has effectively vanished from availability. Apple has not released a press statement about it. They have not mentioned a sudden supply chain hiccup. But by quietly removing that bottom tier, they have silently established a new $799 floor for their desktop lineup. This is not a simple inventory shortage. According to reliable supply chain sources, this calculated maneuver is laying the exact groundwork for what we are going to see at the Worldwide Developers Conference in June 2026. Those of us who have been buying, building, and analyzing hardware for decades know exactly how this game is played. We remember the reality distortion field, and we know better than to take sudden inventory shifts at face value. You do your homework, you research the thermal benchmarks, and you certainly do not buy into generic marketing fluff. What is happening right in front of us is a deliberate resetting of consumer expectations ahead of the highly anticipated M5 Mac Mini launch. Today, let's separate the real leaks from the noise, because the engineering, the capabilities, and the underlying pricing strategy behind this upcoming machine are genuinely fascinating. Let us start with the physical hardware, which is ironically the least dramatic part of this upcoming release, yet arguably the most important for your actual desk setup. If you were hoping for a radical aesthetic overhaul, you can confidently put those expectations to rest. The 2026 M5 Mac Mini will retain the exact same 5x5-inch ultra-compact aluminum chassis that Apple introduced during the late 2024 redesign. For professionals who prefer a minimalist, distraction-free workspace, this is honestly the best possible outcome. Think back to the early days of broadband, or even just a decade ago. Achieving this level of computing power required a massive, beige, heat-generating monolith sitting under your desk, sounding like a small jet engine every time you tried to open a large video file or compile code. Today, we are talking about a machine that easily hides behind a monitor or blends seamlessly into a bookshelf while outperforming PC towers 10 times its size. It remains a beautifully modular system. You bring your own color-accurate displays, your preferred tactile mechanical keyboard, and your own peripherals without paying the premium for an all-in-one enclosure. The real story, however, the one that should have competitors genuinely concerned, is what is happening beneath that sleek aluminum shell. Industry analysts and fresh supply chain leaks point to a strict, heavily defined two-tiered approach for the upcoming silicon, the standard M5, and the significantly more aggressive M5 Pro. The standard M5 is slated to feature an 8 to 10 core CPU paired with a 10 to 12 core GPU. In practical, everyday terms, this translates to roughly a 25 to 30% increase in raw processing power over the current M4 models. That is a highly respectable, linear generational leap. It means faster compile times for your code, noticeably smoother scrubbing in your high-resolution video timelines, and a generally snappier experience when juggling dozens of demanding applications simultaneously. If you are upgrading from an older M1 or M2 machine, the delta in daily performance will feel staggering. But what is genuinely interesting here is the M5 Pro. This is where Apple's silicon engineering team is absolutely flexing its muscles. The Pro variant is heavily rumored to feature a brand new fusion architecture, essentially bridging two separate silicon dies into a single, unified powerhouse. We are looking at a potential 18-core CPU layout, utilizing 6 high-performance supercores alongside 12 standard performance cores. This is a fascinating departure from their usual heavy reliance on low-power efficiency cores. Apple is clearly targeting this specific chip at users' sustained, heavily multi-threaded workloads. They are building a legitimate, workstation-class processor and cramming it into a box the size of a lunchbox. When you look at the performance per watt metrics compared to traditional desktop chips, the efficiency is bordering on absurd. Packing an 18-core processor into a 5x5-inch box without it melting into a puddle of expensive aluminum is no small task. One of the most impressive feats of engineering here is the thermal management. Apple is expected to utilize a completely redesigned active cooling system for the Pro models, likely featuring an acoustic dampening fan and a massive copper heat sink that vents entirely out the rear base. Unlike the constantly revving laptops of the old Intel era, or the aggressive fan curves on modern gaming PCs, this machine is designed to remain whisper quiet even when rendering out a massive 3D environment. Thermal throttling has been the Achilles heel of compact PCs for decades, but this unified architecture seems designed specifically to cheat those physics. Why does a machine this small need that much brute force? The answer is the exact same concept that has dominated the tech industry for the last 3 years: artificial intelligence. However, Apple is pivoting hard toward on-device, localized AI processing. The M5 architecture features a heavily redesigned neural engine that reportedly offers up to 4 times the machine learning performance of the previous generation. We are seeing a massive shift in the professional landscape right now where developers, researchers, and data scientists are running large language models directly on their local machines. They want the privacy, the absolute security, and the zero-latency response of running complex AI tools locally without bleeding capital on recurring cloud computing subscriptions. The Mac Mini's unified memory architecture is uniquely suited for this, allowing the CPU and GPU to pull from the exact same pool of high-bandwidth RAM, completely bypassing the severe data bottlenecks found in traditional PC setups. Speaking of memory, this brings us to one of the most welcome changes in recent Apple history. The new baseline for the standard M5 Mac Mini will finally, officially, start at 16GB of RAM and 512GB of solid-state storage. The era of the 256GB boot drive is completely dead, and frankly, it is about time. Trying to manage professional 4K video assets, massive uncompressed audio libraries, or complex virtual machines on a 256GB drive in 2026 is an exercise in pure frustration. The M5 Pro, meanwhile, is expected to start at a very healthy 24GB of RAM and a 1TB SSD. Additionally, the storage controllers are getting a massive upgrade, potentially delivering read and write speeds up to 50% faster than the M4 line. This means importing massive assets and booting up heavy applications will be nearly instantaneous. Furthermore, the connectivity on the M5 Pro models is getting a serious, professional-grade bump. The inclusion of Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and crucially, Thunderbolt 5 completely changes the equation for external expansion. Thunderbolt 5 delivers a staggering 80 to 120 gigabits per second of bandwidth. For those of us who rely on external NVMe storage arrays or multiple high-refresh rate 6K monitors, this completely eliminates the traditional bottlenecks of external peripheral connections. It effectively makes your external, third-party storage behave identically to the internal drive. You no longer have to pay Apple's exorbitant upgrade fees for internal storage. You can just plug in a Thunderbolt 5 drive and edit directly off it with zero latency. Now let us circle back to that pricing strategy one mentioned at the start, because this is where Apple's brilliant marketing comes into full view. By quietly killing off the $599 M4 model today and forcing current buyers to accept a $799 entry point, Apple has manipulated our psychological baseline. When the M5 Mac Mini is officially unveiled at WWDC next month with a starting price of $699, it is going to look like a generous $100 price cut compared to the current market reality. The keynote audience will applaud the perceived value. The tech press will write headlines about how Apple made the Mac Mini cheaper. But let us be perfectly clear, it is actually a $100 price increase over the original M4 entry point. They are forcibly making 512 gigabytes the new Min. and ensuring you pay the premium for it. Whether your specific workflow requires that local storage or not, it is a highly effective, albeit slightly cynical, pricing strategy. So, what is the smart move here? You need to look past the keynote slides and honestly evaluate your daily workload. The 25 to 30% CPU gains on the base M5 are believable and will absolutely be felt in everyday use. However, the claims of a four-fold increase in AI performance should be taken with a moderate grain of salt. That metric is undoubtedly cherry-picked from highly specific, optimized tasks, not a universal multiplier for every single piece of software you run. If you are a standard user, writing, browsing, handling basic photo editing, and cutting standard web video, the base M5 is going to be spectacularly overkill. Buying the M5 Pro for those tasks is like buying a heavy-duty, dual rear-wheel pickup truck just to commute to a corporate office job. It will absolutely get you there, but it is a severe misallocation of your funds. On the other hand, if your livelihood depends on rendering complex 3D environments, color grading raw cinema camera footage, or compiling massive code bases, the M5 Pro's Fusion architecture and Thunderbolt 5 support will practically pay for itself in retrieve time. In the professional world, time is your most expensive commodity, and the M5 Pro is expressly designed to buy it back. As we move closer to the summer, the strategy is clear. The M5 Mac Mini is shaping up to be an absolute powerhouse, blending a proven compact footprint with genuine workstation-level capabilities. The entry price is going up, but the baseline specifications are finally aligning with modern professional realities. If you appreciate this kind of grounded, hype-free analysis of the tech industry, make sure to hit the like button, leave a thoughtful comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the hardware that actually matters. Are you holding out for the M5 launch in June, or does the forced price hike make you want to stick with your current setup for a few more years? Let me know your exact upgrade plans down in the comments.